It is another special moment here on Prime Take as we speak to a man who has shown so much love when it comes to football, a man who has invested his energy, his time, his resources into football. Rose, when he came to the governance of football as the vice president of the Ghana Football Association, also became a management committee chairman of the senior national team, the Black Stars. Well, he contested for the position of president of the football governing body in 2019. It never went his way. And as you recall vividly, in the second round, after the election or the results were counted, there was a third round. But he decided that at this point, let me throw in the towel and hand over power to Keto Kreku to be voted president of the Ghana Football Association. And again, the following day, the world or the media space saw a video of him congratulating the GFA president, the then elect GFA president, which is Keto Kreku. Now he's throwing his hat again into the race for the position of president of the Ghana Football Association. I guess by now, you have an idea about the person I'm talking about. He is George Afriyie. He's my guest tonight on Prime Take. Mr. George, thank you very much for your time.
Mufta, thank you, thank you.
You look good.
Oh, you look good too.
I like the cap and the glasses.
Ah, thank you, thank you.
What is the secret?
Well, I'm a fashion freak person. Yes, if you love fashion sometimes, you want to change your looks, but it's good to stay healthy. Being a fashion freak, it's good, but then it's good to stay healthy, and then you leave the rest to the world to judge you how they see you.
So if you were not into football, what would you have been doing?
Well, apart from football, I love cars. I've been involved with cars, automobile in a different aspect. And I also love farming. I'm a village boy. Both sides of my family, from the mother side, the father side, my great-great-grandfathers were fishermen and all that. And so, and my mom's side, I see my great-grandmother and my grandmother, they were farmers. I mean, they were cocoa farmers.
Okay.
And so I see myself, I see the future of Africa, that we need to invest in farming. I think that if you had the opportunity to travel out of this country and you see how nations have developed, if you specifically I want to talk about Japan, US, Canada, and then you have to know that as a young man or as any person who come from a background of some farmers, you need to take farming seriously, because look, we are blessed, this country, we are blessed to have natural lands. I mean, lands that are fertile to grow all sort of crops and fruits for our well-being. And so I think that I love to go into serious farming. I'm doing it already, okay. but I think that I can do more. I'm trying to woo some investors into the country and to go into serious farming.
When you say you are from, or you are a village boy, which village are you from?
I'm somehow Accra Adan boy when it comes to, I'm a Gandangwe boy,
okay.
Yeah. And then on the other side too, I'm the Achim Ashanti and Ashanti Achim boy.
How?
Yeah, you know, the history shows where my great grandparents migrated from, in a village called Jimechi.
Okay.
Within the Ashanti regions.
Okay.
And most of them settles in Achim and then Asante Achim lands.
Oh, okay.
So they migrated, first settled in Agogo,
okay.
Bompata, Kokren Tumi, and then in Kwetia. These were the areas, Usino, these were the areas where the family, from the other side of my family. And then from here, it's purely between the Greater Accra. So it's just Accra and Adan.
So where were you born?
Okay, so I was born in Accra.
Then you're a Accra boy. So you're not from a village.
No, but I grew up partly in some villages. Some villages, yes. I grew up partly in some villages, but
Right.
sometimes, yeah, because a story was told. Sometimes I need to say this. The story was told that my grandmother,
Yeah.
my mother, to be honest with you, my mother, my father attended Bompata Training College.
Oh, okay.
And met my mom, a young lady, and impregnated her and ran away.
Oh God.
That's if that was self.
So
the
that is
audience,
you.
that's me. That's me.
So, do you know your father?
Oh yeah, I was living with my father in Akosombo.
That's why after ran away, he came back.
Oh, yeah, I have to go chase, look for him.
So how did you find him?
Oh, it's easy because in this country, once your dad has classmates, it's easy.
You will track.
So one day, yes, I had to chase my mom and say, "You have to take me go look for that man." And my mom took me to a town near Pom. I don't know whether you know where the Akosombo.
Okay.
When you're going to Akosombo, it's a town called Pom. So that's where my father's father had a house there.
Oh, okay.
And so we went there. We found my grandmother, and my grandmother said, "Your father is a young teacher somewhere at Akosombo."
Okay.
So we had to trace my dad, and then we met my dad. He was a very handsome man.
At what age
I was maybe class 2, class 3.
Okay.
And I saw the man, very nice man. And then if you know Akosombo very well, the staff of VRA then, they lives in bungalows and all that. So I went with his brother. And his brother was a tutor at Akwamuman Secondary School.
Oh, okay.
So he took me to the house, and my dad had gone to fishing as a teacher. Yeah.
He was teaching and then
okay. He would go to the Akosombo Dam site to do fishing. And sometimes you do fishing and bring fish back home and all that. So we got there and he was not there. And then he had a mango tree behind his house. So because the brother had the key to his bungalow, he opened and then I entered. And then I just saw ripe mangoes and climbed the tree and started.
You're already homeboy.
Yeah, and then the man came and said, "Hey, I can't offer me mango." Then the brother had just folded his arms and said, "I call what to baby and you have run away." See, that's the boy there. So
you've been a firebrand for a long time.
So that was it. And then he saw me and he was like, "Hey, Kwesi." I mean, that was
Wow.
Yeah, this that's me.
So how would you describe your childhood beginning?
It was okay because I mean I had some great grandparents, had some good family. My uncle, one of my uncles was Air Force pilot. 2 of my uncles were both Air Force pilots.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They were Air Force pilots, and so it was easy. And my mom Uli's sister then was also living in the UK with her husband.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, we enjoyed life as kids. It was a bit rough and tough, but we had some very decent upbringing, very decent one. And
I'm sure that decent upbringing created some kind of opportunities for you, right?
Oh yes, I mean, those of us who are more than 50 years, those of us who are more than 50 years,
yeah.
If you know the culture that existed in Ghana these days, you see, you are being guided how to grow up. There was nothing like a free life where if you are lucky to come from a home like mine, where both parents, my mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, later became a politician. My father was once the CPP General Secretary for Sujaman, later became CPP Secretary for, yes, became CPP Secretary for Eastern Region. He became the head of Vigilante. You heard of the Vigilante?
Yeah.
Yeah, became the head of Vigilante. He was a very nice man. Anybody who know my father will tell you that he was a very, very nice man. And so my mom was MPP woman organizer. And you know, both
then you were born into a political home.
Yeah. The CPPs later, my grandmother, my father's mother's sister was top NDC woman, head of the women something, and those. And so both sides of my family, my dad's side was in the CPP NDC, my mom's side was in the MPP, and so I saw them doing their own thing. And as a young man, and I was a different person. Oh, so
you are a politician, is it? I can understand how you got into politics.
I was born into a political family, no doubt about that. I was, both sides of my family, each sides have serious political lineage into the two big political parties in this country.
How would you describe your educational journey then?
Well, initially it was smooth. But along the line, maybe after polytechnic education, I felt that this country was not meant for me. I see myself as someone who really wanted to make it in life, and I felt the pace of life in Ghana is not the one that I want to. I felt that I must go out there to see what is in stock for me. That is how come in my early ages I traveled out of this country to live in Japan. A lot of people don't know that my uncle's best friend, one of my uncles who was an Air Force pilot, in fact he was the first Ghanaian to bring private airlines to this country called Pioneer Airlines. My uncle, one of the one who passed, the one who had a plane crash, was, if you are still young, I mean, back in the days, you remember there was a story of a Ghanaian pilot, Air Force pilot who had a plane crash on the Ghana-Togo border. One of them was my uncle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so initially everything was okay, but I wanted to take something different. So maybe along the line I had to abandon education and to do some hustling life, and then later to upgrade myself to the way you see me today.
And why Japan?
Okay, so I had uncles and friends who said, Charlie, the place is good, is this and that and that. I've heard stories of it. And so I said, well, why not try it? So let's give it a try. But it wasn't a place that I enjoyed initially. I went to Japan, spent like less than 4 years, and then came back, lived for a while, and then went back again. So when one of the former ambassadors, I just want to remember the name, became the ambassador. He happens to be an uncle's very good friend. And then he felt that he could even offer me a position to serve at the embassy. But at that time, I wasn't really for it. And so I wanted to do my own thing. And so I went straight into business. I went straight into doing my own thing, because I have then been able to live for a while, make some friends, build some contacts, and I realized that there was a lot that I could do in that society. So I left that big opportunity to serve for my country and all that, to do my own business. And that was what kept me in Japan for a while before I returned back again. But during that period, there wasn't a single time that I stayed like 1 whole year without visiting Ghana. About 3-4 months I'm in Ghana, back again 3-4 months I'm in Ghana. Yes. I was one of the first Ghanaians who started doing business from Ghana to Japan. You know, early days, the early day Ghanaian residents in Japan were mostly hustlers. There were people who were working, there were teachers, there were lecturers, there were others, I mean, qualified professionals who were doing their own thing. But then the other few Ghanaians that had gone on pure hustling, working in the factories and all that, were staying and working. It took few of us to take the bold initiative, and with thanks to President Kufuor, who offered that opportunity. It took President Kufuor to say that, look, there are opportunities for guys, young guys like you who have stayed in this country to make money, to return back home to invest. That's how come you go to East Legon, you find guys like Afriyie Hotel, Irata Hotel, Mensvik Hotel, MNJ. These are all guys who decided that having stayed in Japan, having worked and having made money, we want to return back home and invest. So most of them invested in the hospitality business. Some went into real estate. Like my good self, I also choose the real estate business. You understand? I did automobile for a while, and then later I felt that let me go into the real estate business. We did it in a very small scale, but some of my friends like Afriyie and Irata and Mensvik, they did it in big, large scale. They own lots of houses.
So those the hotels, most of the hotels in East Legon, they are your parties.
Yeah,
right?
they are my body.
Oh, I see. But why didn't you also go to the hospitality side?
Well, we cannot not do the same thing. See, my passion for football. That's how come sometimes when we meet, they keep laughing at me because this Ghana go here and go for mine and all that. You see, we can all not have the same kind of, you understand? Some must do something differently. And for me, my passion was football. I've always developed that passion, great passion for football.
Did you play football?
Well, not to
the amateur level, or you played it as a pastime?
Oh no, we played football, but not to that level where you wanted to see some of us. But along the line, my interest was to be an agent, a football agent.
Oh, okay.
I started with players like Kenneth Sapong, the late Sumandazi, and a few others I wanted to try. In fact, at the point I wanted to even manage Aziz Ansah.
Oh, okay. Former Kotoko right
now?
Yeah,
former Kotoko player. I wanted to manage him. I remember that when Dr. Kwambani interviewed him at Adum FM. I accompanied him to that famous interview. I think when he won the best defender of the year or something. He was playing for Kumasi or something. So my passion was purely for football. So even though I was into business and I was doing my own business, I was into automobile and all that, my pure passion was football.
And considering the fact that you were born into a political home, why didn't you follow the footsteps of your mother, your father, your uncles, but you went to football?
Well,
or you are still a politician?
At the point, I still have politics in me, but I'm still doing football politics. At the point I was contemplating. Let me be fair. I was contemplating going into serious politics, mainstream, multi-party politics. I've been considering it, and maybe who knows? I still have all that interest.
You should have the interest.
Because you see, Muftau, somebody must effect a change. That's my belief. Somebody somehow must effect a change in this country. Muftau, in football, we are not fortunate. Maybe in our early days, we saw the business aspect, but it was the passion to help Ghana football. That was maybe our mistake. Unlike today, people think that, hey, let's make money. That was our mistake. Our mistake was that we should help the society. We should help grow the sport in this country. That was our interest.
At what point exactly did you get into football?
Early 2000, 2001, 2002. Early 2000. I mean, when I want to talk about mainstream. 2000, 2001, 2002. Okay, so in 1996, 27 years ago, Ghana qualified for the Atlanta Olympics.
Yes.
And Ghana camped in Japan proud to go into Atlanta.
Okay.
So the Ghana Olympic team traveled to Japan to play the Japan Olympic team before they played to
Atlanta for the competition.
I was then living in Japan. And my passion drove me straight to the team. I went to the team hotel. I met them. And players like Augustine Ahimfo, Joe Ado, Simon Ado, Afododu, now former captain C.K. Akono, Osei Kufuor. These were players that were my friends. I met them and then took them around, did some big shopping for them. And then I remember very well that even in 1996, I went to the electronic hub of Japan, a place called Akihabara. Akihabara in Tokyo is the electronic hub where all the electronics that you can think of. Or if you are a foreigner and you walk to Tokyo and you want to buy any electronic to your country, that's where you can have the 220 voltage because mostly, so it's electronic hub. I drove to the Akihabara and picked 3 players of the national team and bought Seiko watches then for them back in 1996.
You were rich, or you are still rich?
No, see, sometimes it's not about how much you have in your bank account or how much you have on you. It's about, I don't know whether you have followed football back in the days. The people who love football, who were spending money with football, were not doing it to get because they are so rich and they want to part. They are moved by the love of the sport to spend on footballers. I can count, look, in my early upbringing in following football in Ghana, and I will want to talk about Accra Great Olympics, and I want to talk about Kumasi Asante Kotoko. In Kumasi Asante Kotoko, you had people like the man who, if you have heard of Esu Jaman, Esu Jaman, the man who deals in plywood and TNG and all that. I saw that man, Kujo, and those days he would spend on players like nobody's business. Osei Kwame Despite spends on players like nobody's business. There was a man who used to work for Gassem, it's called Mr. Edu. They will give players money, the Uforini Akons, the Yaubewas, and they were just spending on players.
Generous.
So we copied from the love that we had for players. We copied that from our older seniors, about our seniors. And then we also developed that. Because when I was growing up and I saw that, and I was in Japan, and the national team, the Ghana Olympic team had visited Japan, and me going to their team hotel, taking pictures with them and moving around with them, I wanted to show them that, hey, Charlie, me to have that kind of spirit in me.
You've come to my home.
Let me tell you, I gave each one of the 23 players a Pele Pele jeans. Each one of them. Each one of them. Each one of the 23, under 23 players. Each one of them. Each one of them.
Was that your initiation into football?
It wasn't, and it was just a passion and a love I have for the team.
But having done that, you probably would have thought, okay, why not get into India and then just do it at a bigger scale?
You see, even when I became an executive committee member, the era when Nana Budu, Alhaji Raji were under 17 management members. The chairman was Mr. Wanyamiche, former chairman of the Ghana Football Association. He was the chairman of the national under 17 management team. Some of the members were Obed Nanan Ketia, Chelsea boss, Alhaji Raji, Nana Budu. They were members of the under 17 management team. They took the national under 17 team to Japan for a preparation towards the under 17 World Cup in 2007 in Korea. So a preparation to go to the World Cup in Korea.
I remember.
They camped in Japan. I flew from here, went to Japan, got a Japanese friend of mine to spend on the team with cash and Seiko watches for the entire team. Entire team. The entire team. When the team left Japan to Korea, I followed the team to Korea. There was a match between Brazil. There was an 8-nation tournament prior to the main World Cup. And Ghana played Brazil. I drove to the team hotel. They had just played, I think, Haiti. They had just played Haiti or Brazil. And I saw the players in bathroom sandals. The national under-17 team was in a bathroom sandal, all of them. This one is wearing charawate, this one is wearing that one is wearing that one is wearing that. And we were being kitted by Puma. So they were in their Puma houseware, Puma, but with they had no uniformed slippers.
Yeah.
I drove to Itaewon, a place in Korea called Itaewon Night Market, and bought a Puma sneaker for the entire team. I was not a member of the team. I had just traveled to visit them. These are things I have done for teams. National team of Ghana.
But I also recall that during your club days, was it Gamba All Blacks, right? A video of you surfaced many years ago where you were like, people said I couldn't do it, I've done it. When you qualified, I remember all that. Talk us through the journey of you getting into club football and subsequently into getting to leadership position at the FA.
All Blacks will return to the Premiership, and he scores! Swindle Blacks are back into the league division. They've had their hopes totally shattered on the day. And then savoring the moment. It's absolutely.
Many people have said so many things about this team that All Blacks can never come. There are so many goals, there are so many things against this team, but I was ready to prove a point that a young man like me can bring this team back, and I assure everybody we are not going back. We are back for good.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Okay, so this is how it started. I had a friend living in Sweden who approached me that the good old All Blacks has gone down, deep down to the lower divisions after the late George Edusei Poku had left the team. And the team has sunk deep, like way down to like Division 2 levels. This was a Premier Division club. Team that has, I think, won the FA Cup by then, with players like Baba Amando and co. So he said, George, we have seen your passion for football. We think that you can help revive and bring the team back to its rightful position. Initially, I wasn't interested because my passion then was to manage players. My passion was to just help players get opportunities into the international footballing world. But along the line, the pressure was coming. And as a young man who had returned from Japan with some cash in my bank account, the guys would come to me, and when they see the way I would spread them, and they say, Charlie, this man, we must get him to Sweden at all costs. So I accepted the challenge, went, realized that yes, the team was in a Division 2, was a Division 2 club. And I felt like, well, let me give it a try. So right away, I decided to put certain things in place, make sure that they are well kitted, get them timbers, put them into a professional clubhouse and all that. I started to turn things around. We tried to qualify from the Central Region Division 2. In my first year, we qualified for the finals of the Central Region Division 2. We played against Shaka Ufo, a team called Shaka Ufo. We lost in the final. They beat us 4-2. We couldn't qualify. The following year, I was to do it again. Then someone told me there's a team in the secondary Takoradi environs called Bafana Bafana. And the owner, George Phobia, popular known Phobia supporter, said he wants to sell the team Bafana Bafana. So then I look at the cost of playing in the Division 2 again as against buying the slot of Bafana Bafana, which was in the same zone, Zone 2.
Okay.
Then I found it prudent,
yeah.
cheaper, less cost to buy the slot, and then so that's how come we bought the slot of Bafana Bafana, and then we changed the name to Gamba All Blacks.
Oh, okay.
So we played the first year, we couldn't qualify, but the second year I made a promise to the people of Swedo that this year I'm taking the team to Premier. We did our best, but unfortunately we came third. That was the old format where you play sub-middle league, league, and then so then the third team from the Premier Division will play a playoff.
Yeah.
So we had to do a playoff with Okwawu United. And if you know the history of Okwawu United, they have just gone on relegation, but then they were the third from bottom. So they had to play the third place from the Super Middle League team, and that was All Blacks. So we went into this game, but prior to that game, there were a lot of permutation. There were a lot of, how is All Blacks going to beat Okwawu? Okwawu United had all the big men in Ghana football then. Because Okwawu, if you know, when we say Okwawu United,
the likes of
in this country, one of the most industrious people in this country are the Okwawus.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, we share a border. So
is it Conti in Iraq here?
He's the Conti. Yes, he's the continuing of Impriso.
Yeah.
Nana, and then was very influential when we talk of GFA. Not only him, Ampim Dako.
Yeah.
The then Deputy General Secretary Technical. So all of them. I mean, you hear the names. Odro Nyako, the longest boss secretary. So you hear the name and say, Charlie. This is a Herculean task. I don't see how we're going to surmount this challenge. And you know All Blacks? Yeah. All Blacks was me, Isaac Kumsing, and James Nunu. These were the three musketeers running around trying to qualify ahead of this. And I mean, if you look at even the competition itself, this is a Premier Division. Yeah. And we are a Division 2 club or a Division 1 club trying to. So I mean, comparatively, there was no way we could surmount such a challenge. But then, I mean, in football, everything is planning, and everything, it's the way you strategize. And so the night before we met, we designed the plot, we planned everything. Thankfully and hope, I mean, by God's grace, the game went into a penalty shootout. And as destiny may have it, Ishmael Yate kicked the last penalty kick, and we qualified to Premier. And so it was the joy and the work we had put in place, and that was what you saw.
When you were speaking to Kobraya Boy, the good old Kobraya Boy, that was quite an interesting one.
Yes.
And then you went to...
And the Kobraya Boy himself,
oh, really?
Of course, Kobraya is
wow, I see. Yeah.
You see, the big man, look, Kempon, all the big men you can think of in football, they are all from Ko. Because they are my friends. My own Dada and so. Ko. All of them. Top. They are very industrious. And so I didn't see how I was going to scale past that.
So from the club level, how then did you rope yourself into the football politics?
Okay, so you see, sometimes your exploits gives you out. The way you endeared yourself among your peers and your colleagues, it's when there are positions available and you want to vie for it. People look at what you've been able to achieve, what you've been able to bring on board. So at that time, in the 205, when we were moving from the old order to the new order, it became obvious that if they were looking for a certain, we were looking for a delegate from Zone 2, you can't go past George Afriyie. There was no way, because within the Zone 2 clubs, within the Central Region football, I had actually demonstrated my capabilities. I've demonstrated from the Regional Football Association, I've demonstrated from clubs within my zone that yes, if you need someone to represent you, this is a man who could go onto the committee and speak his mind. This is the man who could go onto the committee and serve the interests of the zone. So right away in fact, it will surprise you to know that in that election, out of the 48 Premier Division 1 clubs, I think I had about 44.
Wow.
Yes, only 4 clubs to vote for me. Subsequently, 4 years later, I had 40 clubs voting for me. I think between me and Papse, 40 and 39. So those times, it was about what the man brings on board.
So why did you decide to even contest in the first place?
Well, it was a calling. I felt that I could impact my knowledge of what I've been able to see around and what I've also been able to learn from the foreign world. I thought that a lot need to change. A lot need to change. I felt that our football was still in the dark ages when I came back from Japan, knowing where I was coming from and knowing what I see, the development of football and all that. I felt that our football, because look, I would drive to Cape Coast Sports Stadium and placards lined up where the substitution boards. You take number 1 and take number 2 and join together, and that's number 2. I say, Abba, why can we be doing this in the 21st century? I mean, and this is fact. You can go and check.
Did you make the impact you thought you could?
Yeah, of course, I changed a lot of things. You know, at one point I bought substitution boards from Korea, gave it to the FA and asked them, gave them an invoice and say, when you have money, just pay me. But centers that were not owned by National Sports Authority, I gave them for free. Dansuma free, Obuasi Ashgood free. One other venue where the league centers, the Premier League centers, I gave them for free. You can ask Mr. Kujofiano. Free. I felt that no, in the 21st century, we cannot be using substitution boards where we create Diabako, then one person. No.
They will write chalk at the back.
Yeah, chalk. It was there. You know it.
I remember some of all these things. Yeah, they were quite interesting. But George Afriyie, it's quite interesting that you rose to become the GFA vice president. How did you get there? How did Kwesi Chief repose so much confidence in you and said, this gentleman should be second in command? Because I do recall, prior to that, the GFA vice president was a position that people had to vie for, and you had to vote. But when people changed the statutes, you were the first person he appointed as his vice president.
I don't remember whether I was the first. I think I was the second. I think Fred Krensu was also.
No, Fred Krensu was voted. I remember.
No, it was Jordan that was voted. Fred was also appointed.
Okay, yeah, prior to 2014.
Fred was appointed. Yeah. Initially, those who vied for was Fred Papo. And Jordan Anagla. And then Mr. Fred Krensu was appointed. Then I think that everything. You were appointed in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. 2015, yes. It was when we changed the statutes to give the power to the president to appoint. So it was the president acted within the statutes. He acted within the statutes. Now, maybe we wanted to use the Ghana system where the president appoints someone that he feels comfortable with. Yeah, but the truth remains that I didn't just get to the vice president by way of, I had actually worked my way to that point. Remember, I first contested in 2005 to become an executive committee member, contested again to become re-elected to become an executive committee member. Now, remember, we had an executive committee, the larger one, yes, and we have the emergency committee. So the emergency committee, in the previous ones, we also vote for the emergency committee.
Oh, okay.
So when the power was vested in the president to appoint, the first time he appointed was the Jordan Fred Krensu era. Yeah. Remember that I was appointed an ESCO member. I became an ESCO member, EMCO member, before vice president. So I worked, I rose through the ranks. ESCO, EMCO before vice president. And I believe that at the point, Mr. Nyantechi had saw my dedication, my loyalty, worked throughout. And that's why today I will sit and take credit for every successes under Mr. Nyantechi and take the blame for every failures, because I was part from day one to the end.
But, okay, so you mentioned maybe Kwesi Nyantechi saw something and appointed you, but I do recall something interesting.
And remember that it is not just when the president appoints, it ends there. It must be accepted by the ESCO.
But is a
you nominate choice? No, if you appoint the person and the people don't like it, they will say, no, Mr. President, we don't want, bring another person. That's the law. It didn't say when you appoint, no.
Was
he must nominate.
That powerful to tell the GFA president?
Why not? Now, why not? Our ESCO was very solid, strong, moved out. Look at the members of the ESCO then. Look at the members. You know members. It's not good, it's not nice to be mentioning names, but you know members of the ESCO then. They were not just people who you stop them from speaking their mind. At least if you don't know anybody at all, you know Palmer.
If
you don't know anybody at all, you know Palmer.
Did you ever hear the story that there was a point that Nyantechi was told not to appoint you as his vice president?
Yes. Yes. In fact, there was a point where somebody wrote a letter to him, and the person had told him that if he appoints me within 1 year, he will die. Yeah. And in fact, the person had said that I've gone to a juju man, and juju man had come to tell him that I had come to him, and so if he appoints me, he will die within 1 year.